The humid night clung to the air as the mystery machine rumbled through the cramped, twisting streets of San Marco, a seaside town frozen in time, its colonial buildings and cobblestone alleys whispering of forgotten eras. Daphne fiddled with her silk scarf as she skimmed a travel brochure, while Fred gripped the steering wheel, navigating the maze-like roads with practiced ease. San Marco's underground tunnels are legendary, Velma said, eyes scanning her tablet. Centuries-old catacombs, some still uncharted. Shaggy gulped, shooting Scooby a nervous glance. The Great Dane clutched a towering sandwich, his paws trembling. Uncharted? So, no one's ever come back to report what's down there? Scooby swallowed his snack whole. Roo-row. Before they could debate further, a deafening clang shattered the quiet. Fred slammed the brakes. What was that? Daphne's fingers tightened around her seat. Sounded like it came from that old church. Velma pointed ahead to a crumbling stone structure, the Church of St. Lucinda, its facade lit only by flickering torchlight. Curiosity won. They piled out of the van and crept toward the entrance. The heavy wooden door hung slightly ajar, groaning as the wind pushed against it. Inside, a shadowy figure in a tattered black robe stood clutching a rusted bell. Who rings a bell at midnight? Fred muttered. The figure froze. Slowly, he turned, hood obscuring his face, but his golden eyes glinted in the gloom. Outsiders. His voice slithered through the chapel. Leave this place. Scooby whimpered, ducking behind Shaggy. Daphne squared her shoulders. Why? What's down there? The man gestured to a rotted door near the altar. The catacombs were sealed for a reason. Something stirs below. A chill crawled up Shaggy's spine. Yeah, nope. Mystery over. A blood-curdling scream cut him off. It came from beyond the door. Fred's jaw set. Someone's in trouble. Velma adjusted her glasses. Or it's a trap. Shaggy and Scooby huddled together. Can't it be dinner instead? With a shove, Fred forced the door open. A spiral staircase plunged into blackness, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and something fouler. The screaming had stopped, but something in the dark breathed, and it didn't sound alive. The stone steps groaned underfoot as the gang descended deeper into the earth. Their flashlight beams cut through the thick darkness like knives, revealing walls slick with moisture and etched with strange, looping symbols. A stale odor, like wet soil and old bones, clung to the air. Scooby's claws clicked nervously against the uneven steps. Why does creepy always mean underground? Shaggy wiped sweat from his brow. Because the universe hates us, Scoob. Plain and simple. Velma traced a gloved finger along the carvings. These markings, they're warnings, ancient ones. Daphne's light caught a crumbling Latin inscription. Beware the watchers in the dark, she translated. A low, guttural growl vibrated through the tunnels. Fred froze. That wasn't my stomach. Scooby spun toward the exit, tail between his legs. Exit stage right. A thunderous boom echoed from above as the entrance door slammed shut. The sound rolled through the catacombs like a death knell. Shaggy yelped. Okay. New plan. We become professional door kickers. Fred rushed back up, shoulders slamming against the unyielding wood. It's sealed tight. Velma adjusted her glasses, their lenses reflecting the dim light. Seems we're not just investigating this mystery anymore. We're trapped in it, Daphne finished, her voice tight. Another growl, closer this time, sent Scooby scrambling behind Shaggy. The flashlight beams trembled as they swept the darkness. Then the air moved. A frigid gust extinguished half their lights. In the sudden gloom, something shifted, a hunched silhouette unfolding from the shadows. Golden eyes burned like embers in the dark. Shaggy's voice cracked. GGG ghost. Run. Scooby howled. They bolted through the twisting passages, their panicked breaths echoing off the narrow walls. The creature gave chase, its ragged claws screeching against stone. Fred spotted a rusted iron gate ahead. Daphne, help me. They wrenched it shut just as the monster lunged. The impact rattled the bars as the creature snarled, its breath fogging the cold metal. Then, impossibly, it retreated, melting back into the blackness. Velma's hands shook. That wasn't natural. A faint moan drifted from deeper within the tunnels. Help! The voice was human, and it was coming from the same direction the creature had vanished. The desperate cry hung in the stale air like a dying echo. Shaggy's knees knocked together audibly. Rule number 1 of horror movies, never follow the creepy voice, he whispered harshly. Velma's flashlight beam trembled slightly as she adjusted her glasses. That's a living person, Shaggy. We can't abandon them. Fred tested the iron gate's lock. Besides, this is our only path forward now. A sudden breeze slithered through the corridor, carrying whispers, dozens of them, overlapping like a chorus of ghosts. Scooby's fur stood on end. Are radioactive roaches, he whimpered, pressing against Shaggy's legs. Daphne swung her light across the sweating stone walls. They're coming from everywhere. Velma placed her palm against the damp masonry. Acoustic trickery. These tunnels are channeling sound from somewhere else. The whispers abruptly ceased. In the ringing silence, they heard a soft click beneath their feet. Jinkies! Velma shouted as the floor vanished. They tumbled down a slick stone chute, limbs flailing, before crashing into a cavernous chamber. Dust plumed around them as they groaned in a tangled heap. Fred's flashlight flickered back to life, revealing a vaulted ceiling dripping with mineral deposits. The walls bore elaborate carvings of hooded figures encircling an altar, all with glowing golden eyes. Shaggy moaned, rubbing his back. I think I left my stomach 3 turns back. A grinding stone sound made them whirl. The entrance sealed itself shut. Daphne's nails dug into Fred's arm. We're not alone. From the shadows emerged a gaunt man in tattered robes, his skin parchment white. When he spoke, his voice rasped like dry leaves. You should not have come. His golden eyes gleamed with the same unnatural light as the creature above. Velma stepped forward cautiously. Are you the one who called for help? The man's cracked lips parted, but before he could answer, a thunderous crack split the air. The far wall shuddered. The chamber trembled as the massive shadow unfurled itself from the darkness. Twin golden eyes burned like hellfire in the gloom, casting jagged shadows across the ancient carvings. A guttural growl rumbled through the stone floor, vibrating in their chests. Scooby's entire body shook violently. Are our radioactive rhinos? Shaggy backpedaled so fast he tripped over his own feet. Abort mission. Evacuate. General retreat. Fred held up a warning hand. Wait, look. The skeletal guardian raised a bony palm toward the creature. Back, he commanded, his voice suddenly strong. To their astonishment, the monstrous shadow hesitated. Daphne's eyebrows shot up. It's listening to him? Velma adjusted her cracked glasses. Fascinating. There appears to be some form of hierarchy. The guardian turned his glowing eyes toward them. You stand in the tomb of the forgotten king. I am its last sentinel. Shaggy whimpered. Great. We'll just be going then. Another tremor shook the chamber. Dust rained from the ceiling as deep cracks spiderwebbed across the far wall. The guardian's face darkened. The seal weakens. After 600 years, it awakens. Fred stepped forward. What seal? What's down here? Before the guardian could answer, a blood-curdling shriek tore through the catacombs, different from before. Higher, wilder, more hungry. Daphne's flashlight revealed fresh cracks spreading across the chamber floor. That didn't come from your pet monster. The guardian's golden eyes dimmed. No, that is the hunger of the forgotten one. With a thunderous crack, part of the far wall collapsed, revealing a yawning black void. From within came the sound of something massive dragging itself forward. Velma suddenly lunged for a pile of debris, pulling out a moldy journal. Dr. Elias Thorne's notes. He wrote about this. The seal must hold or the devourer will. A stone the size of a basketball exploded from the darkness, barely missing Shaggy's head. Our words later. Running now. Scooby yelped, already halfway across the chamber. The guardian spread his arms. There is no escape that way. Only the ancient binding ritual can. Another section of wall burst inward. In the swirling dust, they saw it, a massive clawed hand, its stone-like skin cracking as it flexed. The forgotten one was breaking free. The chamber trembled violently as the forgotten one forced its way through the shattered wall. Chunks of masonry rained down like hail, forcing the gang to scramble for cover. The creature's massive form emerged from the dust cloud, a monstrous silhouette of jagged stone and sinew, its glowing eyes burning with primal hunger. Ruro, Scooby whimpered, pressing so hard against Shaggy he nearly knocked them both over. Our Rottweiler from Hades. The guardian stepped forward, his tattered robes fluttering despite the still air. The binding must be restored, he cried, voice cracking with urgency. The pillars, they're failing. Velma frantically flipped through Dr. Thorne's journal, her flashlight beam dancing across the pages. It says here the original seal was maintained through some kind of energy channel through these carvings. Fred grabbed Daphne's arm as another tremor rocked the chamber. We need to activate whatever's left of that system. Daphne nodded, already moving toward the nearest pillar. You take the north one, I'll get the east. Shaggy watched them go, his face pale. You guys realize we're not actually archaeologists, right? We're just kids in a van. A thunderous crash interrupted him as the Forgotten One took its first earth-shaking step into the chamber. Its massive head swung from side to side, those terrible golden eyes scanning the room like a predator choosing its first victim. Scooby suddenly perked up, his nose twitching. Ray! Rats that smell? He bounded toward a pile of rubble near the altar, digging frantically. Scoob! This really isn't the time for snack. Shaggy's protest died as Scooby pulled a flat stone tablet from the debris, its surface covered in intricate carvings. Velma's eyes widened. The keystone! That's the missing piece. She grabbed it from Scooby's jaws. If we place this on the altar, it should complete the circuit. Fred looked from the approaching monster to the altar. Someone's going to have to run right past that thing. All eyes turned to Shaggy. Me, he squeaked. Why is it always? The Forgotten One let out a near-splitting roar, shattering what remained of the chamber's stained glass windows. Shards rained down like glittering rain. Okay. Shaggy grabbed the stone from Velma with trembling hands. But if I die, I want it known I never agreed to any of this. Taking a deep breath, he sprinted across the chamber just as the creature turned toward him. The Guardian suddenly leapt forward, placing himself between Shaggy and the monster. Now, mortal, the Guardian cried, while I distract it. Shaggy skidded to a stop before the altar, nearly dropping the stone in his panic. With a final terrified glance at the battling figures, he slammed the keystone into place. For one heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then a brilliant golden light erupted from the altar, shooting through the carvings on the walls like liquid fire. The Forgotten One howled as the light wrapped around it, dragging it back toward the broken wall. Velma shielded her eyes. It's working! The Guardian raised his arms, chanting in some long-dead language as the light intensified. The Forgotten One thrashed violently, its claws scoring deep grooves in the stone floor as it was pulled inexorably backward. With one final, deafening bang, the creature was yanked back into the darkness. The cracks in the wall sealed themselves as if they'd never existed, and the golden light faded to a soft glow. Silence descended upon the chamber, broken only by the sound of Scooby's tail thumping weakly against the floor. RWE alive? Fred let out a long breath. Somehow, yes. Shaggy lay flat on his back, arms spread wide. I'd like my tombstone to read, he should have stayed home. The Guardian turned to them, his golden eyes dimming to a soft amber. You have done what no others could in 6 centuries. He bowed deeply. The world owes you a debt it will never know. Daphne brushed dust off her sleeves. Just another day for Mystery Inc. From somewhere deep in the catacombs, a single whisper echoed through the stones so faint they might have imagined it, but the Guardian's sudden tension suggested otherwise. When they reached the stone staircase, Scooby bounded up first, his nose working overtime. Fresh air. Rise. As they emerged into the church, dawn's first light filtered through the stained glass, painting the dusty pews in kaleidoscope colors. Thorne collapsed to his knees, tears cutting clean streaks through the grime on his face. I never thought I'd see daylight again. Shaggy inhaled deeply. Ah, sweet oxygen. No offense, underground lairs, but we're breaking up. The church bell tolled unexpectedly, making them all jump. The Guardian stood framed in the doorway to the catacombs, his tattered robes fluttering though there was no wind. Velma adjusted her glasses. What happens now? The tunnels will be sealed permanently, the Guardian said. My vigil continues. Daphne frowned. Alone? After all this time? His golden eyes gleamed faintly. Some doors must remain closed. Some secrets must stay buried. As they stepped into the crisp morning air, Velma hesitated, turning back. For just a moment, she thought she heard Velma. Fred called from the mystery machine. You coming? She shook her head. Just the wind. Scooby already had his head out the window, tongue lolling. Roodles, anyone? Are starving. Shaggy climbed in after him. I could eat a 3-course meal off a tombstone right now. As the van pulled away, the Guardian watched from the shadows of the church. Behind him, deep in the sealed catacombs, a single whisper slithered between the stones, too faint for mortal ears, but enough to make his golden eyes flare briefly brighter. The gang would never know how close the world had come to unraveling that night, and that, the Guardian knew as he faded back into the darkness, was exactly how it should be. When they reached the stone staircase, Scooby bounded up first, his nose working overtime. Fresh air. Rise. As they emerged into the church, dawn's first light filtered through the stained glass, painting the dusty pews in kaleidoscope colors. Thorne collapsed to his knees, tears cutting clean streaks through the grime on his face. I never thought I'd see daylight again. Shaggy inhaled deeply. Ah, sweet oxygen. No offense, underground lairs, but we're breaking up. The church bell tolled unexpectedly, making them all jump. The Guardian stood framed in the doorway to the catacombs, his tattered robes fluttering though there was no wind. Velma adjusted her glasses. What happens now? The tunnels will be sealed permanently, the Guardian said. My vigil continues. Daphne frowned. Alone? After all this time? His golden eyes gleamed faintly. Some doors must remain closed. Some secrets must stay buried. As they stepped into the crisp morning air, Velma hesitated, turning back. For just a moment, she thought she heard Velma. Fred called from the mystery machine. You coming? She shook her head. Just the wind. Scooby already had his head out the window, tongue lolling. Roodles, anyone? Are starving. Shaggy climbed in after him. I could eat a 3-course meal off a tombstone right now. As the van pulled away, the Guardian watched from the shadows of the church. Behind him, deep in the sealed catacombs, a single whisper slithered between the stones, too faint for mortal ears, but enough to make his golden eyes flare briefly brighter. The gang would never know how close the world had come to unraveling that night, and that, the Guardian knew as he faded back into the darkness, was exactly how it should be.